Class again. This is Reader's Workshop. Our focus would be on fictional or traditional literature, and I'll be reading from traditional literature. However, before I begin the story, I want to go over voice fluctuation, how to change your voice during punctuation marks. So, if you come to a period, you stop, count, 1, 2, 3, continue. If you come to an exclamation mark, your voice gets loud because you're excited or you're yelling. Stop running! If you come to a question mark, your voice naturally goes up and gets squeaky because you're asking a question and you're waiting for an answer. What are you doing? Who are you? If you come to a comma in between words in a sentence, that means stop, pause, take a deep breath, count to 3, continue that sentence, and then stop wherever it is. If you come to quotation marks, that means someone or something is doing the talking and they want you to know what they said, what came out of their mouth. Change your voice so you become that character. Okay. Now, before I read, there's another thing I want you to focus on. I want you to focus on the characters in the story. Look and see how they are. Are they friendly? Are they nice? Are they angry? Are they bad and naughty? Okay. So, here's my story. And you've probably heard this many, many, many a times. And this is the version of Little Red Riding Hood. Adopted, that means the author tweaked and changed the story a little bit to his or her own style. Lawrence A. West. Illustrated, the person who drew the pictures is Theo Claros. In a small town next to a large forest where there's a lot of trees, there lived a little girl. She was called Little Red Riding Hood because the cape, the jacket that covered her, her grandmother had made for her. One day, her mother said, "Grandmother is sick. Please take her this basket of goodies. Be sure that you stay on the path, stay on the road." "All right, Mother," said Little Red Riding Hood, and she set off with the basket. Little Red Riding Hood soon forgot her mother's warning, what her mother said. She wandered off into the path, into the fragrant, nice-smelling woods. There she met a wolf. She did not know anything about hungry wolves, and so she was not afraid. "Where are you going, little girl?" asked the wolf. "What do you have in that basket?" "I am going to visit my grandmother, who lives in a house with a red roof," answered the girl. "She is sick and I am taking her a basket of treats." "Do you have any fresh strawberries in your basket?" asked the wolf. "No," admitted Red Riding Hood. "Surely your grandmother would like some," said the wolf. "My grandmother loves strawberries." So here's Little Red Riding Hood. And over here is the wolf. Little Red Riding Hood thought for a moment. Then she decided that the wolf was right. "I will run and pick some right now," she said. "You have to leave your basket with me," suggested the hungry wolf. "I would be happy to watch it for you while you are gone." "No, thank you," said Red Riding Hood. "I will bring it with me so I can carry the strawberries." The disappointed wolf watched Little Red Riding Hood hurry away. He was very hungry. and a basket of goodies sounded delicious. Just as he was about to give up, Little Red Riding Hood came skipping back toward him. It was then that he came up with a plan. So he's thinking of something. "I see that you do not have any flowers for your grandmother," said the wolf. I had just picked this bouquet for my own grandmother. I suggest you pick one too. I know your grandmother would like it." "Grandmother does love flowers," said Little Red Riding Hood, and she began to search for the loveliest, most beautiful yellow and white blooms she could find. So busy was she that she did not see the wolf run off in the direction of the grandmother's little house. Now think about the character of the wolf. What kind of animal is he? How is he being? And think of Little Red Riding Hood. What's her character? Little Red Riding Hood gathered her bouquet, her bunch of flowers, and skipped off to deliver her gifts. At the same time, the wolf snuck into the grandmother's house. He frightened her so greatly that she ran out of the front door. Then the wolf dressed in one of grandmother's nightgowns. He put on a sleeping bonnet, a cap, and slipped into grandmother's comfortable bed to wait for Little Red Riding Hood. The wolf did not have to wait long. In a moment he heard the front door open. "Ee!" "Hello, grandmother," called Little Red Riding Hood. "Hello, dear," said the wolf in a disguised voice. "Please come in. I am resting in bed." Red Riding Hood walked into grandmother's room. "I hope you are feeling better, grandmother," she said. "I brought you a basket of goodies from mother and me." "Thank you, my dear," said the wolf. "That is most kind. I am feeling better now. Your basket of goodies certainly smells delicious. Please come closer and give me some news from the village." Little Red Riding Hood stepped closer to the bed. Her grandmother looked very strange. The girl was surprised to see that her grandmother's eyes looked much bigger than she remembered. So here's the house up here that the wolf ran first and frightened grandmother away, and he's in the bed waiting for Little Red Riding Hood. And here's her basket of goodies that Little Red Riding Hood was bringing to grandmother, who's now really the wolf in disguise. "Why, grandmother," said Little Red Riding Hood, "what big eyes you have." The wolf blinked, trying to hide them from her. "All the better to see you with, my dear," he said, and as the wolf moved in bed to hide his eyes, the bonnet, the cap, slipped off his head. "Why, grandmother," said Little Red Riding Hood, "what big ears you have." "All the better to hear you with, my dear," said the wolf. As the wolf reached up to fix the bonnet, the little cap on his head, he let the cover slip from his face. "Why, grandmother," said Little Red Riding Hood, "what big teeth you have." "All the better to eat you with," cried the wolf, and with that Little Red Riding Hood let out a scream, "Ah!" and ran from the room, and the wolf leaped from the bed and chased after her. When the wolf reached out to grab her cape, her jacket, she knocked over a chair and ran away. Now here, Little Red Riding Hood's noticing Grandmother has big eyes. And here, Little Red Riding Hood knocked a chair and got away. "Stop!" cried a loud voice. Suddenly, Little Red Riding Hood looked back to see a woodcutter, that's a man that cuts down trees, holding his axe in the air. "Do you think you scare me?" asked the wolf. "I believe I should," said the woodcutter. He reached for the wolf and grabbed him by his tail. Then the woodcutter carried the wolf into the forest. As he did so, Grandmother came running up to Little Red Riding Hood. She had been hiding nearby in the garden shed, a little structure building by the garden. "Grandmother, I am so glad you are safe," cried Little Red Riding Hood. "I was worried that the wolf had eaten you." Grandmother gave Little Red Riding Hood a great big hug as the woodcutter came out of the woods. "I did not think the wolf will trouble you again," he said, adjusting his cap, his hat on his head. "Thank you very much," said Grandmother. "Won't you please join us for a snack?" The woodcutter, Little Red Riding Hood, and Grandmother enjoyed the basket of goodies as they sat and told stories for the rest of the day. Now, whenever Red Riding Hood visits her grandmother, she is careful to stay on the path. So the moral of the story is, listen to what you're told by your adult. So here, you see grandmother's joined back with Little Red Riding Hood. And here's the woodcutter that took care of the wolf out in the woods so he won't come back again. And here they are happy again as a family. Now, this is your time in Reader Workshop to read either to someone or to yourself. So, read to your brother or sister, aunt or uncle, cousins, grandma, grandpa, dad, or mom. If you don't have anybody to read to, then read to a toy or one of your pets. If that's not possible, then you play teacher and read out loud like I do, and make believe you have an audience there. Fluctuate your voice, change your voice to the punctuation marks, and think about the characters, the people that are in the story. Were they mean? Were they kind? Think about Little Red Riding Hood. Was she mean? Was she kind? Think about the wolf. How about him? How about the woodcutter? Was he brave? Was he someone that saved people? Think about all that while you're reading your story. So until next time, bye-bye.